Hey there, Monica Reyes here. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about how to reject someone nicely. So first off, I just want to acknowledge you for taking a stand for yourself. Oftentimes, people stay in relationships, partnerships, way too long because they're afraid to offend, disappoint, reject the other person, hurt the other person. And so the fact that you're even looking into this, I acknowledge you because that means that you're taking a stand for your own happiness and what is ultimately going to be the best thing for both of you. So I would like to start off by saying that you are doing this person a favor. If you are feeling like, okay, this isn't working anymore, whether it's a real, like a relationship, where it's a romantic relationship, where it's a business partnership, whatever that might be, if you're feeling that lack of desire, then you are likely not, you're doing them a favor because, and by staying in the relationship will be a disservice. Okay, and that's assuming you're in the relationship. And maybe you're not in the relationship. Maybe this person is like, courting you, trying to like, ask you out. And you are like, it's not for me. And this person might be a really nice person, right? Like a really nice person, but like, I don't see myself with you. And that's okay too, because you get to be happy and you get to decide, you get to create this life exactly the way that you want. And so we're just gonna talk about how to do this really nicely, because obviously you feel like there, you care about what this looks like. And so I also acknowledge the fact that you're not just, what in Sex and the City, where you're like rejecting somebody in a Post-it note, that you're actually doing the work. You're looking into how can I do this in a nice, kind way. All right, so, the first thing that I like to do is I like to really like write it out. So, and I do this for many reasons. And I do this usually when there's like some sort of conflict or some sort of communication that is going to take something. It's not just like a very easy, it's like I feel like this, there's maybe an emotional charge within me, or maybe like this feels like a little, like it feels like really important. I like to write it out, and I like to bullet point it usually. Now you might not actually, read it word for word, but at least kind of writing it out. And I like to do it because first of all, there's a part of me that needs that certainty. So I like to see, I want to be able to say everything I need to say so that I'm complete, right? Because then I don't want to, like, once that door closes, oh man, I forgot to say that. No, you want to make sure that you're nice and complete. So writing everything you need out. Usually when I write it the first time, it's the draft. I'll go back and read it, and it's not always coming from my higher self. Like I'll read it and it's coming from a limited part of me. Maybe there's a little blame here, or pointing fingers, or maybe there's a little judgment, or maybe it's not the nicest way to say it. And so, writing out whatever you need to say the first time, and then going in on your next sort of refined version and say, okay, so how can I say this again from love? How can I say this where there's no ego here, but I'm actually, I'm saying this with love, because that's ultimately what you want. You don't want to come in from ego, like you did this, I'm doing this because, so like, where can I take ownership here? Where, this didn't work out, for some reason, and whatever, there's some sort of rejection having to happen here. You have to tell them that you don't want to be in the relationship, you don't want to be with them, you don't want to, whatever the case may be. And so, how can I see this from love? How can I do this open-hearted? So writing it out to make sure it's coming from the right version of you. That's tip number one. Tip number two is, how do I want this to land? How do I, because sometimes when we communicate these things, we don't actually think it through. Like, I want it to be received as blank. And so we'll tell them, and then they receive it a certain way. And it's like, oh man, that's not the way that I wanted it to go. How do you want it to go? So really thinking it out, like, how do you want it to go? What does it look like for these words to land? Do you want them to, be, oh wow, thank you, or do you want them to like not be hurt? Do you, what does it look like for them to receive these words? And really think that through. The second thing is about that tip number two is really the bigger part is visualize. So now when you figured out like, how do you want this to land, what you want, how you want it to receive, actually imagine them receiving it that way. Closing your eyes and taking a moment and imagining yourself giving them these words, actually telling them what it is that you want to say, and then seeing them receive the words and seeing the words land exactly the way that you want. Now, we don't want to be attached to the outcome. We don't want to be attached to it has to go this way. But what you're doing is you're allowing the universe to do its magic. So there's one trajectory. Like, I mean, there's going to be many trajectories, but at least you are, like creating and asking and being open to this one, rather than allowing the universe to do whatever it's going to do. Like, you are being intentional, being like, this is what I prefer. This is what I desire. This is what I believe is best for both of us. This is the way that I would like to leave this. And so it allows you to have, use your creative power so that you can create in this situation, which can be very, very powerful. And there's a very good likelihood that it could land exactly this way because you've taken the time to be intentional with that. And visualization can really, really like imprint that into the ethereal, into the energetic space, because now you believe that it's going to happen this way. And the more that you feel and believe that it's really going to happen this way, the more of a likelihood that with the laws of attraction that it will actually happen this way. The other reason why this is really great, visualizing and preparing in this way, is you'll feel confident. And really what we want to do is you want to have an open heart. And which leads me into tip number 3, but having an open heart is going to be really important here because we are energetic mirrors and we have these energetic agreements with each other. If you come in with defense, if you come in with fear, if you come in with judgment, with blame, anything like that, then what'll happen is you're going to get that back. And so you want to come in with the most open heart that you can. So visualizing will allow you to really experience it as if you've already experienced it. So it's like you're not even coming in the first time. You already know the way that this is going to go. And then tip number 3 is going to be open your heart. So you can do a meditation. There's a really beautiful meditation, the meditation for a calm heart. I'll put it in the iCard, but it's really perfect for this. But in essence, what you're doing is you're putting your hand here and you're putting your hand up here. So it's your left hand on your heart, your right hand in Gyan Mudra, and you're just closing your eyes and taking some deep breaths. I would do this for at least 3 minutes. It's a Kundalini yoga meditation, and it's specifically to open up your heart, to provide the calmness within your heart so that you can experience that on the other side, because that is the way that's the way that'll serve you both. So that again, you're both open-hearted. This is how the words will land. This is how you can show up calm, and this is how this can really end in the nice way that you really want. The other thing that I like to do is, if you know, like maybe that this person is a little insecure, or, I had several conversations, feels like in the last few weeks, with people where, they had to reject somebody and they were like, how am I gonna do it? This guy, he's like 50s and he's been looking for love and he's just not for me. And so I'm afraid that if I reject him, he's he's either gonna go in the deep end, or maybe he won't wanna look for love, so just knowing who your audience is. Like, it's really important to know who your audience is, and maybe just remind that person that you are amazing, the truth of who they are. You are awesome, you're super sweet, you're nice, whatever it is. Remind them, so that you're really talking to the little boy or little girl inside, because they're probably wounded, and it tells me that they've attracted this situation where you're rejecting them. This is likely something that they've probably dealt with in childhood. So you're going to be knowing that you might be triggering a rejected little girl or little boy inside of them. It's really important to know ahead of time so that you can come in with a lot of love. So I like to come in very motherly. I like to come in through mentor, sort of using that sort of identity inside of me as my ally, and coming in and just reminding us, listen, you are amazing. It just wasn't a fit. And I know you're going to find the right fit for you, right? Again, because just because it doesn't work out here doesn't mean that it's not meant to work, right? And really leaving them, on a high. And that's my personal mission in this life, I feel like, is to leave people better off than they met me. So how can you leave them in a high state? And you don't have to over exaggerate. You don't have to lie to them, right? You want to be as authentic as possible, and just remembering who you're talking to, the little girl or little boy inside of them that's likely been rejected before. And so, you don't have to be afraid here. If you do all these steps, it will help you. You will have an open heart. They're gonna receive it. If you visualize it, if you write it all down, if you're complete, you say everything you have to say, and you can even, if there are things on your list that are like, you did this to me, just checking in, like, do I need to say that? If I need to say that because I don't want them to do it again, okay, great. So how can I say that with love? How can I say that from love, right? Because that's ultimately the way that this conversation is going to go. If you want this to go in the nice way, you're gonna wanna come from love. Really, that's going to be the main tool or the main vehicle, the space that you're going to hold, right? That unconditional love, seeing them as the divine beyond their behaviors, beyond their experience. Like, ultimately there's a human there that's been through pain, that's been through, their own path, and now they've come, up to you, and you get to show up. Like, this is a holy encounter. This is not just a little thing. This is God, the universe has absolutely given you the task of doing this rejection, and how are you going to do it? And I have no doubt that if you landed on this video that you're going to try to do it with love. And I acknowledge you again for taking a stand for yourself, and then for also following through and doing this for this other person, because this isn't happening to, you're doing this for the other person. Especially if you do it with love, then it might actually change the relationship to rejection itself. So now all of a sudden when they look forward in their life, they might not be afraid of getting into another relationship because you've rejected them with love. It's like, wow, okay, that wasn't so bad. Wow, I've never been rejected that way. I've never been like left that way before. And so maybe it makes me feel a little bit better about taking a risk on someone, or doing something for love. I mean, you might change their life. All right, you might change their life. Awesome. All right, well, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. If you have any questions whatsoever, go ahead and comment below. If you like this video, like it. If you know anybody that's going through this, go ahead and share it. I'd love for you to share it. And I will see you next time.